This week on InsideRH Football, I'll sit down with Coach Lazat to talk about the win against Glenn. Then we'll head to Kristen for this week's Player of the Week. And last but not least, we'll head to Micah for Region Roundup. All that and more on this week's InsideRH Football. What's up, Wildcats? I'm here for this week's edition of InsideRH Football with Coach Lazat. How's it going, Coach?
Good morning.
So, Coach, before we even get into the amazing game we played, so as you know, game was originally scheduled for Friday, but unfortunately there was a delay because of weather. So, how did you sort of re-prepare and get back into the game mindset after the delay?
Well, I tell you, it's really tough, right? You got to be able to compartmentalize things, because we came up Sunday and prepared for our next opponent, Everglades. Had to leave here Sunday evening and reset to Glenn Academy. A lot of the coaches got here early yesterday morning just to watch film and get back in the flow of things and reflect back on game plan stuff. For our players, we stayed focused on Glenn. That's all that they were thinking about. That's all that they knew. Knowing that coming in on a Tuesday, we'd be ready to focus on Everglades and get prepared for that opponent. So, the big deal is being able to compartmentalize it and stay ready. I told the boys on Friday, I walked in the locker room, and you could hear a pin drop. Right, it was just extreme focus, and I said, guys, waiting is preparing, and it does. You wait differently, obviously, but sitting and waiting in the locker room or working out, waiting for your opportunity to grow in strength and all of that. And I was just really proud of our guys being able to go out there and execute the way that we did, especially in the first half, against a team that's probably gonna have a pretty good year this year.
Yeah. Now moving on to the game. Obviously, it was a great game for us. 21-0. We just completely dominated. Didn't even let them score a point. So was there a specific reason you chose to open your season against Glenn?
Well, we've had some really, really tough games against Glenn over my tenure here, and knowing that the stadium was going to open up, we got them on the schedule, and with Coach Bennett just talking about how we wanted to lay out our schedule and our plan, it ended up working out perfectly time-wise, obviously. But we wanted to play Glenn Academy as our first opponent in that new stadium. We knew it was going to be a tough game, a hard-fought game. We think of it as an I-95 rivalry, which I think that we've really kind of graduated. We used to be at this level with them, and we've really kind of graduated and surpassed it, right? So it's probably a little less of a rivalry that we consider from our football program standpoint than it is a team that year in, year out we've played over the years and had some really close games, tight games that have decided region championships. And so we wanted it to be Glenn, wanted to open up the season with them, and we lucked out in being able to play that game.
Yeah, so last week we were talking about getting ready for this game, and I asked you what had to be successful for us to play an efficient game. And you talked about the D-line. The D-line had to be successful. And, they came out and absolutely dominated the line of scrimmage. They couldn't get any yards running. So
They had 29 total yards of offense, right? And I'm laughing because those guys played their tails off, man. And it was tremendous watching them play and just dominate. We were able to use some of those guys on the offense a little bit more than we would early in the game, obviously, because I was thinking to myself, if this keeps going the way that I think it's going to go, they may not play as many reps in the second half, so I have to get them game live reps and for conditioning purposes. Glenn played back-to-back weeks, and there's nothing like being in game condition. You could tell our team hadn't played in a month. It's almost been a month since we played, and so there's some game speed deals that we were having to grow accustomed to. There were some conditioning there at the end, fatigue, and you start to have mental breaks when you get tired. Our guys stayed pretty strong throughout it, but our D-line, even when we had to sub late in the game, they came out with fire and they were still playing really, really good ball.
Yeah, not only did we dominate, tackles for loss, just preventing yards, we also seriously showed some talent in taking the ball away. Walter got his interception. We had 2 fumbles. So what does it mean to you to see your defense just dominate that taking the ball away?
Well, yeah, that's it. It's all about the takeaways. And if we're not turning the ball over on offense and we get takeaways on defense, you become very hard to beat. It's reflecting back on it, I'm very proud at our defense being able to set up field position. And the takeaways were very timely also. The interception came, they got a little momentum and a penalty, and then boom, we hit them with that. They didn't complete a pass. Had 29 yards rushing, and if you run that stuff, you better be able to run the football, or it's a long night. And it was a long night for the old terrors down on from Glenn County.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the defense, who just had an amazing game, but another group that was just amazing was the offense. We had 3 touchdowns, really dominated. So how do you build off of the offense's performance?
Well, we made a ton of mistakes, and we had a lot of positives. We were able to score 21 points in the first half. We were able to do some really good things, but we made a ton of mistakes, and it wasn't ability. It's this one thing. There have been times where I've sat in this chair and said, our guys, and thought to myself, man, they were just better than us, and they had it wasn't ability. I have true belief in our guys' ability to accomplish the things that we're asking them to do. We've just got to execute a little bit better. That's why we had a slow second half, and when you break it down and analyze it, when you have 2, 3, 4 guys with missed assignments on offense, it's really tough. Football is the greatest team sport in the world because you cannot have success without all 11 pulling in the same direction. And you saw that in the second half. We didn't have success because we didn't have all 11 teeing off, and we've got to do a better job of doing that. But in the first half, we did some really good things. The first touchdown was an amazing touchdown scored. Everything from gunner scrambling to ripping the ball in, putting it in a spot where only our guy could catch it. Nick Swain was a short guy and went deep in it's a typical scramble drill. So short guys on pass routes go deep, deep guys come short, and they crisscross right there and they set it up, and Eli caught the ball, toe touch in the end zone. It's tremendous play. That will be remembered forever as the first touchdown scored in that stadium. And so we did a lot of good things, and we can get a lot better, which is fantastic. Staying up here last night and watching the film, it was you're like, man, we're so close. We're so close. And it can be one guy stepping with their correct foot in this spot that would have made the difference and been a touchdown on some run plays. And so got a long way to go, but it's definitely something that can be fixed almost immediately if these guys will dial it in and execute what we're asking them to do.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. How did you sort of prepare for the environment that this new stadium brings?
Well, I tell you, I don't think there's any preparation. You try to come up with a plan, and we've got a timeline of how we do everything from warm-ups to back to the locker room, and it's things that I've been documenting as far as we go back and forth at practice and seeing how long it takes to get to and fro. But there's nothing that prepares you for coming out of that tunnel and seeing that student section explode and hearing the band roar and the crowd erupts. There's nothing like it. And so we're looking forward to another Friday night with you guys showing up, getting ready to go, and it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. But we need you to show up. You create an environment that there's nobody on Glenn Academy's team that had ever played in an environment like that. And so thank you for creating that for them also. Creating that experience.
Coach, is there any specific player that you want to shout out?
We'll give a shout out to Trey Brown. Great job, man, on both sides of the ball. Good job getting in the end zone for the first time, and looking forward to you having a big season, my man. Congrats.
More on Trey Brown on this week's Player of the Week.
Trey Brown is a junior on the Wildcats defense line and has a strong start for the upcoming season.
Feels great. Encourage my teammates to keep working hard, showing my mom and dad how much I've been working hard on the field, all that.
On Monday night, he recorded 4 solo tackles, making it a total of 6. Along with 2 quarterback hurries, he sets personal goals for himself for the upcoming season.
Two sacks a game, so I can make so I can have the most sacks in the state of Georgia. 2 sacks a game, get a region champ, make it a state.
Trey says he's motivated by his family, coaches, teammates, and past players. He's excited to keep improving as the season goes on.
My dad, my grandpa, my mom, my whole family. I look up to my coaches. I look up to my teammates before me, like last class they graduated, I look up to them. The leadership, the connection they had, how much they cared if they lost or not, how much they stayed together and all that.
Looking ahead, Trey hopes to take his game to the next level in college, but if not, he says he still wants to stay connected to the sport by coaching the next generation of players.
For sure. I made that money. I'm not, if that doesn't work out for me, I'm gonna coach younger kids, but yeah, how to be like me or other kids, because some kids, they don't have any parents and stuff in their life, so being a coach, you can be like a role model to them.
Reporting for InsideRH, I'm Kristen Smith.
Now to Region Roundup after the break.
Whip a Tesla, spinners looking kinda ass. Find me bumping on my feet, I'm sorry that I'm clever. Wear a cap and gown, just make me better. Dodge my ass.
Really? Seriously?
I'm faster than myself, it's hard to measure.
Now to Region Roundup.
I'm Mike, and I'm here to bring you this week's edition of Region Roundup. Let's get into it. Starting off this week's standings with a banger, as the Wildcats snatched the first place spot after Monday's game. Followed closely behind is second place with Lowndes Vikings with a record of 2-0. Third place goes to the Colquitt County Packers with a record of 1-0. Then lastly, the Tift County Blue Devils, the Valdosta Wildcats, and the Camden County Wildcats all tie up with a record of 2-0. Now moving on to the games that happened this previous week. The Lowndes Vikings beat Mount Zion with a score of 56-0. Next up, the Tift County Blue Devils beat Gadsden County with a score of 22-0. Last Friday, the Valdosta Wildcats beat Mundy's Mill with a score of 60-24. Last on the agenda for football, Camden County Wildcats beat the East Lake Eagles with a score of 57-33. Softball standings for this week have scores all over the place, with the Camden County Wildcats taking the lead with a record of 5 wins to 5 losses. Tift County reaching second with a record of 5 wins to 1 loss. The Lowndes Vikings taking copper with a score of 3 wins to 7 losses. Valdosta just barely missing the podium with a record of 3 wins to 4 losses. Colquitt County Packers with a record of 1 win and 5 losses. And last on the softball for this week is Richmond Hill Wildcats with a record of 3 wins to 1 loss. Last on the schedule for this week's Region Roundup is volleyball, with the Richmond Hill Wildcats taking charge with a lead of 12 wins to 1 loss. Second place is the Lowndes Vikings with a record of 13 wins to 3 losses. Camden County in third place with a score of 2-2. Fourth is the Valdosta Wildcats with a record of 7 wins to 4 losses. Fifth goes to the Colquitt County Packers with a record of 3 wins to 7 losses. And in sixth, we have the Tift County Blue Devils with a record of 5-3. I've been Micah, and this has been Region Roundup.
This is your lucky school year for the fact that I'm giving you back one because I realize this is your life. I'm keeping one because it's a safety hazard. Have a great day.
That's all for today, Wildcats. Thank you for watching this week's edition of InsideRH Football.
Build the hill.